Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Toolbox Midrange deck. If you want to see how the deck performs, gameplay is linked down in the description. Go check that out and see what the deck's about here in a sec with the deck tech. Hey there, folks. My name's Thelona, and we're here with the Midrange deck. So the idea behind saying it's more the toolbox is I want to have basically every card have an engine of some form in it, or just be very efficient and just have kind of some staples in the deck. So with that, we have 3 Fatal Push. I'm going to kind of gloss over some of these things. So Fatal Push for quick removal to try and get rid of the lower threats and the early threats in the game. For 1 mana means that we can still effectively play out our stuff. So we're going to run the full 3 copies in this. Magma Spray, much the same way. Get rid of the early stuff, exile Scrapheap Scroungers as they are somewhat a problem, and just kind of clear out the creatures that would be, early game problems. Glint Sleeve Siphoner is one of the engine cards I've mentioned as a 2/1 for 2 mana. Menace, very easy to get through. Gets energy, and then you can pay energy, draw a card, and lose life. So just meant to kind of keep the card engine going or keep the lightning bolts coming towards it, however you want to look at it. Usually it's the lightning bolts coming for it. That's the big deal with that. And then we have Harsh Mentor, where whenever opponent activates artifact, creature, or land abilities, it shocks that player. And 2/2 Hate Bear, basically. And just meant for vehicles, evolving wilds, manlands, creatures that do things like whatever. Creatures that do stuff as well, whichever ones may happen to come up, say Kalitas and a situation where they might want to be larger than, I don't know. You come up with your own theory on that one. And then we have Scrapheap Scrounger, just again a staple, and counts as the technical engine in its own right because it keeps coming back, and a good thing against control. So 3/2 for 2, and can't block, but just keep exiling your creatures to keep bringing them back. So good in that regards. We only have 16 creatures, that is a thing, but we're trying to run engine-based ones on that. Next up, Harness Lightning to deal damage equal to the energy counters you get. You get 3 with the spell, so it's a 3 damage on its own. For 2 damage to a creature, or for 2 mana, 3 damage to a creature. Or if you have more energy, you can pump as much as you want into it. So it definitely just clears threats very quickly. Definitely a good removal spell in that regards. This deck is very removal heavy to deal with the creature decks. For the control decks, as I said, everything's an engine. Eventually, you're just going to try and get there if they don't get a stupid pull from tomorrow or you don't give them the time for it. And then we have Nissa Vastwood Seer. She comes into play, gives you a forest that you can search from your library, and if you have 7 or more forests, you get to turn her into a Planeswalker form, which will ramp you with the +1 or give you the card if it's not a land off the top of your deck. And -2 will give you Elemental 4/4, which will help out your defense if you needed to, or maybe you need to push a very strong offense, and that's how you do it. And Ultimate's never going to happen. And then we have Ronis the Indomitable for 5/5 for 3 mana, Death Touch, indestructible, and can attack or block unless you control a creature with power 4 or greater, and he can pump any other creature other than himself, give him +2/+0, and trample till end of turn, so that'll turn him on, and also, give trample to your other relevant guys if you need it. Yeah. Also target of Harsh Mentor. And then Tireless Tracker, where 3/2 for 3, you put a land in to play, you get a clue, and you sacrifice a clue, you get a +1/+1 counter on her. So definitely quite useful in that regards to get more card advantage. Same reasoning as Glint Sleeve Siphoner, just to get an extra card or 2, or get the removal out of their hand, whichever one you want. You play all your creatures accordingly, of course. We're running the full 3 Rex Sages, by the way, because Sandworm Convergence I hate with a new passion. I'm telling you, that is my new absolute hated card. So we're going to run 3 Rex Sages to make sure they never ever get that to work. So yeah, destroy target artifact or enchantment, and that's just, that works for vehicles and stupid Sandworm Convergences and all that nonsense. Cultivator's Caravan is intended for ramping this, so 3 mana, and it gives the ability to add 1 mana of any color in your mana pool, and can crew 3 to become a 5/5 if we need a creature, a beater on a stick available. Then we have 3 Unlicensed Disintegration, we're destroying target creature, and if we have an artifact, which we have just 4, then it deals 3 damage to creature's controller. Now with only 4 artifacts, you're not going to run into that. It's easy mana to cast Murder, and so we're going to run it. 1 Radiant Flames for the fact that we may need board wipes, and we'll keep that in mind. Very aggressive deck comes along, they're removing our stuff or whatever, and they're playing out a bunch of little stuff. We'll Radiant Flames. We'll play accordingly. I know that we have creatures and whatnot in the deck and all that stuff. We'll play accordingly for Radiant Flames. Just meant as a nice low of the ground, get things going, and kill off all the stuff that is on this half of the deck, basically, that we might run into, and just really, really annoying low-end stuff. Then we have Hazoret the Fervent, which doesn't necessarily come online. It's a 5/4 for 4. Yes, Indestructible Haste, can't attack or block unless you have 1 or fewer cards in hand. Doesn't necessarily come online all that much, but we could end up in top deck mode, and Hazoret will help push some damage through in that regards. Can also tap for 3 mana, discard a card, and deal 2 damage to each opponent. So it's a little bit of extra reach, and that's kind of the thing. Like if a board somehow gets clogged up, we're not running the kind of creatures for that kind of thing. But I mean, we're running so much removal that, say, they're running so much removal too. Could happen. That Hazoret could be just one of those engines, like I said, to try and get the damage through in that reach. And it's just kind of one of those things, much like Ronis, that just kind of sticks on the table, and there's always that looming threat. It's just inevitability is what it is, and that's why Hazoret's in here as well. It's just for the inevitability that this ability provides, and invincible blocker should you need it. I mean, if you're top deck mode and you have a Hazoret and you're in a bad state, you might want this as your invincible blocker, definitely. Then we have 2 Cut to Ribbons to just deal more damage to creatures, and Ribbons is our reach at the end of the game to just make opponents lose life very much. Appreciated in that regards, to try and get the reach. Yeah, we want reach. Definitely reach. Lots of reach. Lots of reach. Speaking of reach, Chandra, Torch of Defiance. 4 mana, 4 loyalty, Planeswalker. Her +1 is your card advantage. If it's a non-land card, you get to cast that card from the top of your deck. And if not, then you can choose to deal 2 damage to your opponent. She can ramp you with some mana, and she can kill a creature in a pinch, and her emblem is a one sure way to win almost every single time, depending on your luck, on how bad the game is, and that if that is actually going to do anything at that point. But, I mean, you can run into that situation. That's why I'm saying it's not foolproof, but it is almost completely foolproof. Then we have 2 Glorybringer, because they're freaking awesome. 4/4 for 5 mana, Flying Haste Dragon. And it comes, and when it attacks, you can exert it to deal 4 damage to a non-dragon creature, which means that your Glorybringer can't kill Glorybringer, but it can definitely kill a whole bunch of other stuff. So definitely good for, sniping out planeswalkers. So, you got your Chandra, you got your flying blocker of whatever, a Thopter. Kill the Thopter. Go in versus your planeswalker and murderize it. Basically, is what that's for. Then we have Obnixilis, which I don't think I've actually drawn in like 30 or 40 games of actually playing this. So I don't know actually how he applies, but he's intended card advantage, kill a creature. His ultimate is intended as reach to do some extra damage. So 5 mana, 5 loyalty planeswalker to that end to try and reach, basically. Then we have Never to Return, so destroy target creature or planeswalker. We can't guarantee we're always going to have a creature out with our lower creature count and our fact that ours is primarily creature removal. So we have this for the Planeswalker Reach if we can't pull off that particular job at that particular time. And then we have the return on the Aftermath side to definitely create a 2/2 zombie. And exile some shenanigans if they happen to come up. You never know. They have their own flip cards. You can get rid of that. Scrapheap Scrounger if you catch them while they're tapped down. That kind of thing. To try and remove those particular threats. And so that's the last of the non-land cards. We have 3 swamps, 5 mountains, 3 forests. I might be adjusting the mana base. I'm not 100% on it yet. 2 Smoldering Marsh, 2 Woodland Cemetery, 2 Rootbound Crag, 2 Dragon Skull Summit, 3 Aether Hub, and 2 Evolving Wilds. It basically leaves, for the most part, your lands coming into play untapped with this. That was what I was going for. But it seems that it's hit and miss for the mana. And when I say hit and miss, tonight it's been miss, but every other night it's been hit. So, I mean, take your argument with that. Anyways. So Evolving Wilds is intended as a push mechanism, mostly. It's here for Fatal Push, and just in case we're running that bad, it's just basically 2 extra copies of whatever we happen to be missing. So that's why it's there. We can definitely fish for whatever one we're missing in any particular game. Aether Hubs intended as reach for the Glint Sleeves and the Harness Lightnings, just to try and get that extra energy or the energy of those particular abilities so that we can keep our mana going on this. Take your pick, depending on your game. This deck is intended to kind of work for, each particular game with a creature heavy base. I have played against Control with it, and as you can see with all this removal, basically, the moment they try to play any finisher, it is a whole world of Scorched Earth coming down on them. It basically, in a nutshell, that's exactly what it is. We'll have this entire hand of useless stuff, and then they think it's good to come in and go for the finisher, and we're just like, nope, we've got a billion things that are coming down for you to destroy whatever you have. Disciple of the Ring? Yeah, we got it. After about 50 of these spells, we've got your stupid Disciple of the Ring covered. No problem. And then it's just like, if we're playing against Control, we know Rex Sage is a thing to probably keep around for that kind of thing so we can get rid of their stupid Gear Hulk. So on like that. You play the game differently, but they definitely can't win. So you go after their finishers at that point. You try to take out their finishers so they can't win. And then from there, that's how you play this deck in that particular instance. Force out their counters, force out the removal, and then when they think they've got it and we've kind of run out all the things that we think, then, go after their finishers. It's a tough game. It's a very long game. I'll give it that. It's a very long game to go against Control. But that's the kind of strategy you go to win against them in this particular deck. Is just as soon as they cast something, they don't have the mana to counterspell every single thing that's a cheap removal in this particular deck. So go for it. And then after that, it's the deck was intended to try and beat the decks with tricks. So it's a deck with more tricks than the decks with tricks is what it was intended to be. And I think that's basically what we're going with. And if I had a true argument, it would be the mana base is not 100%. If I play any more dual lands in here, then it's always coming into play tapped and too slow. If I play less, then I think I've hit a balance where maybe one card either way would probably be the thing. Anyways, with that said, hand me your suggestions on what you think about the deck, and go check out the gameplay, see how it fares. I played a couple select games for you there to try and give you a basic idea. And with that, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.